We're on.
You win some, you lose more.
All right, the special treat here on AFL Today, Gather Round, joined by Luke Hodge. Hodgie, how's Adelaide treating you?
It's always good.
Yeah.
Didn't bring the family over this year. Last year we came across with Loz and the four boys, and they had an absolute ball. But yeah, I'm over here just purely work this week. But as I said, Adelaide, weather's turned it on for us. And, just over the water, I went for a run this morning and saw what they're setting up. It's going to be another big year. Yeah,
that activation across the road where the footy fan festival is, it looks massive this year.
Yeah. We took the kids over last year. I reckon we left with about 30 footballs. All the activations, they were just giving out footy so the kids had a ball. But I think it's a mini grand final for us, but having all 18 teams. And you know that the Adelaide people get behind it as well. Yeah,
third year of Gather Round now. And there's talk about, Tasmania or someone else trying to take it. But this is Adelaide's event. It needs to be for the rest of time.
Yeah, I agree. People said take it over WA. You can't drive over there. I think Adelaide's got it. It's 8 hours from Melbourne.
Yeah.
And you've got so much to do here. You go to the wineries, whether it's McLaren Vale, Barossa. There's good golf courses, which I'll find out tomorrow. But yeah, it's just a good spot and everything's so close.
Yeah.
They've done it well.
Yeah, that's it. And then just touching on that, like the different grounds and everything, it just brings something different to it. And like you said, everything's so close. But you said you were walking around this morning, me too, walking past Liam Baker and a couple of the West Coast boys, and then you see, a couple of DeConings walk by and everyone's just like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I was in the lift before with a dad and his son who come across. They were Carlton supporters, so they're optimistic for their first win for the year. But the kid had a smile from ear to ear, just the fact that he went past and the heroes that he sees on TV, he can actually go and see everyone from different clubs, which is great.
Yeah, and I love that the clubs are open with open training sessions and all the signings as well.
They've invested in it.
It's the access that we don't get through the year. But we're going to have to talk some footy and then we'll get on to some fun stuff later. So let's talk about the weekend. Some games good, some games not so good. So we'll start off Saturday out at the Barossa Valley. We're sending a couple of the boys on the train out there. North and Gold Coast Suns. We'll just keep this one nice and simple. Give us a winner and a margin.
The Suns. The Suns impressive. You saw the game against Adelaide last week. North is still going through that development phase. And I had a bit of a comparison from when Clarko came to Hawthorn in his second year. I know it's his third, but he
missed a bit in that first year.
Yeah, but they're on the same track. We're actually worse. I think we had an average losing margin of about 65 points over about a 7-game stretch in Clarko's second year. So give them time if you're a North Melbourne supporter. But I think the Suns should be comfortable.
Yeah, and just with that, you said give them time. Is there a point where it's like, okay, we've given you enough? Because it's probably been about 8 years now, but Clarko's been there for 3. Is it, all right, we need to see progression this year? And then there's...
But you think, though, they've had 4 different coaches since COVID. And even with Clarko being appointed, Brett Ratton coached 10 games. So whenever it's the same as West Coast, they've been going through their phase for 3 years, but Minnie's just been in there for under 12 months.
Yeah.
So you need time for the coaches to teach their style. It's a new voice and give them. So if they're in the same position in 2.5 years' time, you're probably sitting there going, all right, something needs to happen. But people just have to be patient because we've got so many different media outlets. People want to be first to put pressure on and break, all that stuff. So it's give 18 months and then we can start to really have a look and see if they're developing or not.
All right, let's go to Carlton West Coast, which is going to be here at the Adelaide Oval. So the line's 36.5. You've seen a bit of Carlton this year because they're the primetime Blues this year. Surely they win this, especially with some West Coast outs and Harry Mackay. Good news that he's going to play this week.
Yeah, well, you look at their first half, they've actually played some okay footy. They've led every game at half time.
Yeah.
They've just fallen away in that back half, which you look at Zip 4 and you think, it's disaster.
Yeah.
But Carlton should win quite comfortably there.
Yeah.
We know they're going to be winning at half time anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a start.
And just give us someone, because as I said, you've seen a bit of them, give us someone that's going to have maybe 15 or 20 touches that someone can throw in a bit of a multi for Tab.
Saad's someone who they need to get the ball in the hands. I'd be putting Welsh to the half back line, get a bit of running creativity off the back line. He's going to get his 30 anyway.
Yeah.
But I'd be trying to get the ball into their hands as much as possible just to try and get a bit of smooth ball movement because they've seen under pressure, they bomb it away and it just turns the ball over.
And there would be something to take out of last week, how GWS were able to sort of waltz through with a bit of handball at times. If they can do that and link up with some of their good kicks, Charlie and Harry should be able to feast.
Yeah, and that's the thing is ball movement's key. You look at how Connolly won the flag. You look what Hawthorn have been able to do since round 6 last year. But if you're able to move the ball well, that's what breaks open defences, and Carlton haven't been able to do that.
We got to go to Norwood because for some reason the reigning premiers, the Brisbane Lions, can't get on the Adelaide Oval and they take on the Western Bulldogs. So, firstly, what do what do the Lions have to do to play at the Adelaide Oval?
Well, they've not played through it Gather Round once. So I'm enjoying it because I don't mind Norwood going there for a bit of a look. But it is interesting that the reigning premiers don't get a chance to play out
It's
here,
ridiculous.
and considering how good Adelaide Oval does look at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'll be going out and having a bit of a look at it as well. I reckon it's going to be a decent contest. Like the Doggies at times have showed they've played some good football. Clearly they've got a few big outs, but I actually reckon it's going to be pretty close.
Eric Hipwood is the key forward. He struggled at the start of the year, and I'm big on them sort of not being able to win the flag with him as the number one forward. Is it something where the little blokes have to step up and he's just got to create a contest?
Well, I think if you look at how the game's going, you look at Hawthorn, we spoke about it, like they've got 5 blokes under 6 foot in their forward line with Joel. So you sort of look at the big key forward isn't really the big focus anymore. Yeah. And you've got to think Hipwood, he came into the football club when they were down the bottom. Yeah. He was a 21-year-old playing the key position. He didn't have a pre-season this year. He had groins where he sort of come back and people jump on him straight away. He had no pre-season.
I've completely forgotten that.
So the fact that he lives around the corner from him. So I see him out there walking. He was hobbling for the majority of the pre-season because of his groins. So you sort of sit back and go, if you understand how big pre-seasons are in footy these days, and this poor bloke did not have one, the fact that he's out there still trying to compete, it shows a bit of ticker. Yeah. But as we said before, this is the day and age we are, but people are very quick to criticise. But I don't think it's a massive thing having your key forward not kicking 6 goals. As long as he's creating a contest, and they've got pretty good small forwards alliance.
It's an interesting point you made. One of your ex-teammates, Xavier Ellis, he's big on key forwards being completely overrated, and he thinks there's probably 5 or 6 good ones and the rest cut their contracts in half.
Well, that's Xavier. Yeah. Xavier not standing over 6 foot tall and doesn't like tall people. But yeah, I think the way the game's shown, who knows, in 10 years' time, it might get back to you having your 2 big talls. Yeah. I know that we went through and we had Bud Ruff, and then we brought in David Hale and Gunner. So footy evolves, and we're going through a phase now where it's small man ball, the way probably Hawthorn and Collingwood introduced it.
Now we go to two struggling teams will be here, Adelaide Oval, Saturday night. The D's and Essendon, both teams in desperate need of a win. Obviously, the D's winless, Essendon with the one win.
That probably should be the game at Norwood.
Well, I said Carlton and West Coast should swap over to Norwood. I jokingly said it on Twitter, and a lot of Carlton fans got really angry at me going, well, we draw a crowd. I'm like, yeah, but your footy sucks.
You do till half time and then they leave.
Yeah, but actually, there's an interesting point. I had an idea last year that there should be like a promotion and relegation system at Gather Round. So if you win at Adelaide Oval, you stay there the next year. If you lose, obviously, depending on where you finish on the ladder, you're booted to Norwood. If you lose at Norwood, you're at the Barossa or the Hills.
People at Norwood are going to have a go at you now. You've had a fair go at their ground 3 times.
I like Norwood, and actually, I've got a family member who's high up in like the board or something.
Don't suck up till now.
Yeah. Hi, Scotty. Scotty and Carly, love ya. But yeah, it's more like, obviously, you probably do want to play at the Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, I think you look, if the Lions people are coming over here to watch their team, you want
3 years in a row.
You want to rotate it around and give everyone a go here.
They got given the Friday Twilight 2 years in a row, I think, as well. So it's like, come on, give them a slot. They won the flag
next year.
But D's and Essendon, the forward line and mid connection with the Demons at the moment is way off. Bailey Fritsch is out of form. Jacob Van Rooyen is trying, but it's just not falling to his hands. Like, what's going wrong there that is something that they can fix, because they can't kick a score?
Well, that's the thing, is it hasn't just been an issue.
Yeah.
Like, this has been their biggest issue since post-grand final. And even, like, they had Fritsch who looked good because they had space down there. Because
he was
yapping
around
as well. Yeah, but this has been their issue for 4 years.
Yep.
Like, it's been getting it. Like, they've always been good at contested footy, and their defence has always been pretty sound. They've struggled centre forward and that connection piece going. And now the fact that they're losing stoppage as well, they're leaking some scores. It's no surprise that if they get those areas, if they lose in those areas, they're going to lose the game, because watching their entries inside forward 50, you sit back and you pull your hair out.
Yeah. Who wins this one, Essendon or the D's, though?
I actually don't know.
Yeah.
Or you sit back and go, Essendon has shown. I'm probably going to lean towards Essendon because they can connect, and they got a lot of upside. But then you look at, I was bullish on Melbourne at the start of the year. You look through their midfield, like they got an all-Australian midfield. Yeah. Just they're not living up to it, and everything around shot the way. So I'm probably going to lean towards Essendon, but
this is no confidence.
No confidence.
Yeah.
I just hope it's a good game.
I think I'm going to take the under in the over-under total score there.
Well, both teams under 100?
Yeah. I think my big call last week was the D's wouldn't score 60 and they got to, 45?
Yeah. Who knows? Let's hope it's a shootout.
This could be, that they just sling it around and off we go, and Track kicks 5 and has 30, and, a couple of the Bombers boys pops up, like Merritt could have 30 and 5 again.
There's your Mouldy.
Yeah, there we go. So we'll just quickly touch on, so you're tipping Suns, Carlton, Brisbane, and not sure.
Coin toss. We'll go Essendon.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Sunday. Couple of good games, obviously, there. Freo and Richmond, the first game out at the Barossa Valley. This looks to be Freo winning by a healthy margin after last week. And Josh Tracy, he's a big key forward I'm all in on.
Yeah. Well, I think Freo showed in patches like there. If you go back and watch the 18-minute mark to half-time, they kicked 6 goals to nut. They dominated.
Electric.
It was, you sit back and go, holy Freo, we're here. But then the second half went back into how they are. So they tease you a lot. And I think Richmond are going through that phase with Uze. They put on a lot of pressure. Their second half, when the game was done against the Lions last week, their young kids looked lively. They looked energetic. Freo probably win by 30, 40 points. But what you want to see as a Richmond supporter is just the effort they put in, the pressure, the tackling, and just the connection they had. They set up a few goals just by being beside one another and just giving the first option.
They'll win more games this year, won't they, Richmond? Because they'll catch someone off a bye at the MCG on a Saturday twilight, and they just won't be ready for the pressure.
Well, you look at opening round. Like they caught. Carlton should have been up by 50 points. Up by 25. They were a bit laconic, but they gave a young team a sniff. And one thing you do know with that young team is they've got energy and they've got belief. So they're going to have some patches where they're going to be terrible. That's what young teams do. But they're going to give a couple of teams a shake. And I don't think Freo will be ready for it.
And just one for the punters out there. How many goals do we reckon Josh Tracy can snag on Sunday?
5?
Oof. Yeah, I like it.
You're going more, are you? You're thinking more.
I was going 4 or 5. My big call, it's a game we're not talking about. It'll be Thursday night, so by the time people see this story about, Thriller kicks 5 on Thursday night.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm big on Thriller. I love the beard. He's just, I love it.
He's massive.
Oh, yeah. And apparently he covers more distance than anyone. Like, he's a massive endurance runner, which just blows your mind.
Well, when he came back last year, I hadn't seen him for probably 18 months because of his injuries. Came back last year, he looked like he looked like Thor almost. Wolverine.
Thrill Thor. St Kilda GWS is possibly the match of the round out at Norwood, and both social medias having fun going. The undefeated Norwood record goes against each other. Saints have been really surprising.
Yeah, they have. Especially when what we saw over here in Adelaide in the first round when they got belted by the Crows.
And it's like,
they looked like their setups defensively, they couldn't move the ball, but all of a sudden the pressure they put Port on last week just closed down their short game. They really studied what Port was strong at and shut it down. So, look, Ross has got him. Like, you can never doubt Ross. Like, all of a sudden, you're going, is he the right person? And then you sit and you go,
an evil genius.
Yeah, exactly right. But he has belief in his players, and they've done it. But it's obviously going to be a big challenge out there.
Yeah. GWS flying as well, had a very convincing win last week out of the West Coast. Jesse Hogan just like, hey, I'm in front of the Coleman. I've only played 2 games. It could be a big day for him again.
Yeah, played on a young Can you put a young fella on Hogan? He's coming off the Coleman.
Is this like the back in the day where Bud walks out? I was like, who are you?
Turn around, what's your name? But look, as I said, it's going to be the way GWS, the fact that the footy that they can play, and then they had the package come in last week. And, so look, they haven't thrown a punch at GWS.
Yeah.
They're a good, they're a solid team with experience, with youth, with speed. They got some high hopes this year.
Possession one there. Lockie Whitfield gets his hand on the footy bunch. He's been having 30 every week.
Just put in out for 30. It's
done.
Yep. Don't even worry about it.
And winner?
Probably GWS.
Yeah.
But that was, in saying that, I would have said GWS no problems 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Saints, they keep surprising you. Yep. So it's going to be good, but I've got GWS 20 points.
All right, we need, obviously, main event of the week. It's probably not the match of the round, but the build-up makes it the main event. Hawthorn and Port Adelaide. Obviously, Port Adelaide hosting Hawthorn here. Yep. Ken got fined $20,000 for doing the plane, and yet somehow it's in every bit of promotional material for the week. Ken should invoice the AFL.
Exactly. I think everyone agreed.
As soon as he saw it, everyone's like, either round one or gather around, play them against each other.
Exactly right. And then that's the thing, is that's the rivalry that it's built. But I think everyone agreed straight away. Ken apologised and said he should have done it 5 minutes later. So I'm like, he should have been fined $20,000 for that.
No.
Like, it wasn't offensive. I agree. The position he was in probably didn't look the best, because we should have been talking about Port Adelaide, a great win at home.
After getting pumped the week before.
And the young players that stood up, Burgoyne was outstanding. But I was over it 5 minutes afterwards, because he apologised, you move on, he regretted what he did, and off you go. I spoke to him because we interviewed him the next week. I said, mate, why didn't you challenge it? He goes, we didn't want to continue that. He goes, we were coming here to play football. He goes, I just wanted to pay the fine and off we go. For one, he must have too much cash.
Yeah.
But for two, he was like, push it away. We didn't want to keep it going for a week. But then promotion-wise, it's happened for the last 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so obviously Port Adelaide have struggled to start the year. Hawthorn absolutely flying, fresh off a bye. We'll ask the obvious question straight off the bat. If Hawthorn go, let's say, 8 goals in front, not 7 like the semi last year. Jack Ginnivan kicks a goal to put them 8 goals in front with 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. Is he hitting the plane? Like, surely.
Oh, could you imagine the Port supporters? They'll be like, fine him, 20 grand. Well, you sit back and go,
you want him to do it.
Well, it would be a good spectacle. I'm commentating the game. So, like, if you did that, it would be pretty funny. And on the flip side, if Port are up by 7, you expect, like, a Horn Francis to come out and give it a little bit of... But it will be entertaining. Like the build-up, this is what you want. Like it's two teams that have got a pretty big rivalry over the years. Fair to say, a little bit of hatred towards each other because I know the supporters do.
Yeah.
It builds it up. It's good entertainment, and I think that's what you want to see. That's what's going to hold people to the final game. Yeah. To see what's going to happen.
And so obviously Port need to show something because they've been pretty poor to start the season. Hawthorn are flying, and this is like not Ken's last chance, even though it's his last season. But they need to come out swinging. Not like last week where they got in a wrestle and St Kilda were just like, go away.
Yeah.
Like it's very interesting. And for Hawthorn, this goes back to 2014. This is probably since when this rivalry started. You win that prelim by a couple of points, Port probably kick themselves out of the game. Since then, Port are 8-4 against Hawthorn. Yep. How is Hawthorn treating this? Because they know they're on top of the ladder. They're the one that everyone's coming after. And it's like, we need to win this game. We haven't won for a while against them. They had that 2 heartbreaking losses here last year.
Yeah, I reckon it's a build-up different for both teams. Hawthorn are trying to just squash it down.
Yeah.
I think Hawthorn are sitting there going, we're 4-0.
Playing footy.
Like we don't need to get involved in that. Where you bring in motivation is when you're struggling. You bring in motivation, think they're a better team than us. We need to do something. So if we need to get everyone up to be physical, to be on edge, Hawthorn's football is has got them to the top of the ladder.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Port Adelaide's they're going to use this motivation. Ken's going to bring out about the hatred about what Sicily was calling about. I think we saw today that Sicily was what he said that you guys have been irrelevant for 8 years. Like Ken is using that. Ken is using every part of it. He's going to his midfield. He's going to Butters, Wines. He's going to Horn Francis. He's going to Rosie.
Yeah. He's
getting them on edge because at the end of the day, if they lose this, that could be into Kent.
Yeah.
Like so, and that's no surprise. Like, so he's using it. He's almost coaching for his career, and their players have to stand up because he's been good for that football club. He's been good for those players. He's given them a lot of belief into them. So he's building them up to almost on the edge of their seat, ready to go. So the mindset and the build-up for both teams is so different.
Sam Powell-Pepper is going to be that hyped up on Red Bull and caffeine.
Get out of his road.
Oh, he's going to hurt someone or hurt himself. And
the other thing is, now that there's no Day, there's no Warple, the strength of Port Adelaide is their midfield.
Yeah.
Do they smell a little bit of blood, the fact that they've got 2 of their main mids out?
Yeah.
Is there a chance for them to dominate through that area?
Yeah. So take us back to sort of 2014, and we have this build-up. Sam Mitchell, obviously coach of Hawthorn now. He's one of the leaders alongside you. What is the build-up with Clarko towards something like this where you're top of the tree, but you seemingly can't beat this team? How would sort of Clarko build that up, knowing that there is that rivalry? Port Adelaide fans may not like you for what you did to Chad Wingard that one time.
And then also there was one out here where the next time we played him, I was going back with a flight of the ball.
Yeah.
And Boki was there. I'm like, you don't touch Boki over here.
Yeah.
I've gone up and put my knee up to protect myself, and I got Boki down the sternum.
Yeah.
Right in front of the bench where all the supporters were.
Yeah.
They almost jumped the fence and got me.
Yeah.
So we do have a bit of a history, but I think our history with Port goes back even further than that.
Yep.
It goes back to when Clarko first came on. So it was 2003, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
When Port Adelaide were good.
When they won the flag.
We went through some years where we missed the finals. They physically got stuck into us.
Yeah.
Like they had the big midfielders. That was when Dimmer was there, and then he came across and coached us. But they were ruthless and physical. And I remember that we had scars from that big team beating up on us over here. We had a couple 90-point losses, 100-point losses here at Amy, but that sticks in our mind. So Mitch remembers that, and then he come to 2-14, and it was the other side. Port Adelaide probably should have beaten us in that prelim. Like they 3 goals 9 at quarter time, and then they had that big flurry on at the end
Yeah.
where they had Wingard come off the back of the square. We couldn't stop them. So there is a bit of history with them. And then just add in last year, it's a big build-up.
Yeah. So with that, are you tipping Hawthorn to get this job done? But is it going to be closer than what we think, or just Hawthorn put the foot down and the Smalls just get going?
I think Port have a chance.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I think Port, and for the reason I said before, like Kenny's going to have them on tipping point.
Yeah.
They're going to be on edge. They're going to smell blood because of the gaps that Hawthorn may have. They're going to have to bring some new guys in as well to try and fill the void of Warple and Day. I reckon it's going to be a ripping contest. Yeah. And I do think Port have a serious chance to win it.
Connor as a captain probably needs to lift a little bit too.
Yeah, I think having your right-hand man not there is a big. So I think he's had to do it all. But Butters is a bull. For a bloke who's so small, he's not the heart and soul, but he lifts. People lift around him.
Yeah.
So having Rosie join back with Butters, I think that's going to help him. Yeah. It's not going to be so much relying on Rosie to be that spark and that the person to lift him. I reckon that's going to help his game as well.
And just finally, so you did mention that because Rosie is the captain. Obviously, there's the chat about Oscar Allen. We're not going to talk about the contract and meeting with Sam Mitchell. It's more as a leader. Are there certain players, like so obviously when you had Bud, when you were captain, he wasn't a captain type of person. It was just follow me, I know what I'm doing, and you were that inspirational leader. You'd come in and give a message to some of your players to fire them up. Are there different style of players that aren't captain, but they are genuine leaders? Yeah,
well, there's certain players who love leadership, and there's certain players who just want to go and play footy.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of blokes there that didn't want the follow-up and the responsibility of being a leader, but they were very good lead by actions on the footy field. And that's the difference. You got to mix, especially in today's game, there's a mix of all different kinds. And if you go through Port Adelaide's side, the two leaders that you look at out in the field is Butters and Rosie and Butters.
Yeah.
And then you've got O'Leary down back and all the other. So, and obviously Ollie Wans has been a former captain as well. So you do need a spread of blokes to be effective on the footy field.
So my dad is a Swans fan. I've heard people say, Isaac Heaney should be captain. Isaac Heaney should be captain. You know, Callum Mills obviously out injured. But I see him as a bloke who he's going to play and you're going to follow him, whereas James Rowbottom is the one of the heart and soul. He's in and under. And he was captain last week, and I saw him watching the game. He was just pointing everywhere and directing traffic. It's that kind of bloke that can be a captain, whereas you're like, yeah, Haynes, go do your thing.
Yeah, I think it's gone from the days, like 20 years ago, the captain was the best player.
Paul Kelly.
Yeah, because it was the best player because, you know what, all you had to do as a captain is go and toss a coin, be best on ground and go from that. Yeah. There's so much more involved. It's preparation, it's organisation, it's going to chat with blokes. You're almost doing more off the footy field than you are on the footy field as captain because you're trying to make sure that the blokes you run out with, everyone's got clarity in their role, peace of mind and can go and play. So it's a lot more behind the scenes being a leader than what it is just going to get a kick.
Yeah. And one final question. It's only round 4 or 5. Who's going to win the fight?
I knew you were going to say this. I got asked at the start of the year, pick me a top 8. Yeah. I had 14 teams. And clearly I've taken out Carlton.
I had GWS out of my 8. That's how good I'm going.
I wasn't convinced on GWS either.
I thought they got old.
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
I was wrong too. I had Melbourne. I was bullish on Melbourne. I was wrong.
I had them bottom 4, so I'm good about that.
Yeah. You look back and the thing is, things change. So you look at round 15 last year, people were going, how can you beat Sydney?
Yeah, that was but I lived the nightmare again, thanks.
But you sit back and go, the issue is if you're that far in front of others, teams will try things to try and beat you because they know that their best isn't good enough to beat your team. Yeah. So that's where things can change. You look at Brisbane Lions, who won the grand final. They were 2 wins from 7 games. Yeah. They were 4 wins after round 12. And they were 44 points down halfway through the third quarter in a final. They go on to win the grand final. So as far as we're guessing right now, if we sit back, I'm going to say, well, Hawthorn on top of the ladder, they're premiership favourites. Yeah. But that could change in 3 weeks. Port Adelaide could beat them. They could lose the next 2 and you go, well, they had their run, they're out. Yeah. So I'm tossing a coin and saying to the premiership areas because no one really knows because it's such an even competition.
I've honestly got no idea. You can't make me pick one right now.
Yep. Pull a name out of the hat and we'll run with that.
You know, let's do it Gold Coast. If they can commit to wearing the pink all season, it'll be the Suns.
Perfect. Suns and Adelaide will be running.
Oh, how good. Bring it on. Right, thanks, Luke Hodge.
Cheers.
Tonight's game's going to be epic.
Missed by one on the AFL? With Tab, you can stay in the game. Miss by one on any disposals leg, and Tab will still pay you out as a winner. Tab, we're on.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.